Hi, my name is Mary Rose Lumakang, and from the sound of it, you can guess that I am a Filipino. My mother tongue, or L1, is Cebuano, and my L2 is Tagalog, which is also the Philippines' national language, and my L3 is English. Interestingly, I speak English most of the time since currently I am living in the United States. And I find English a bit easier than Tagalog. Sorry, Philippines. Just kidding. I learned Cebuano, my mother tongue or my L1, naturally at home and in my community. I don't remember any formal education in it since everybody around me spoke the language. I learned first listening and speaking long before I learned reading and writing. Eventually, I became proficient with the four macro skills, which is reading, listening, writing, and speaking. I learned Tagalog, my L2, and our national language in the Philippines. I remembered so well, it was first introduced to me formally in school. I genuinely interested in learning the language since most of the cartoons I watch on TV is in Tagalog language. I remember my teacher in elementary teaching us how to read abacada phrases or short phrases as a class, reading it aloud. And as a child, even though you don't like to read, you will be encouraged by your classmates reading enthusiastically, and it was so fun. I remember vividly my teacher is using a stick to point out the avocado letters or avocado phrases on a big sheet of paper on the wall so that everybody can see and read it loudly. It was fun. Back then, I don't have any difficulties in reading, listening, or writing Tagalog, but speaking the language is a different story. It is much harder for me to speak the language. It's because nobody in the family or a close community spoke the language in a regular basis. So I haven't really heard it in an actual conversation. Without much exposure of the actual Tagalog conversation in daily life, it is much harder to develop confidence in using it myself. And now here comes my L3, English language. I remember so clearly, my mom would let us read the Dolce sight words over and over again until I memorize it. By at it in ID did. See, I still memorize it now. I practically remember my mom preparing the walis ting ting, that is a broomstick made of coconut leaves, to scare us. And I laugh it now, but it definitely kept us focused. By the time I reached grade 1, I can read and understand the stories in our book, grade 1 book. And I can truly appreciate reading and understand the meaning behind the story. And now I realize that what my mom's doing, the practicing of reading, the memorization of the Dolce words, it is her way of letting us appreciate and love reading. When I got to high school, I remember my dad will wake us up around 5 a.m. just so we could read for 30 minutes. And after 30 minutes, we have to stand in front of the mirror and explain what we understood about the books that we read. Sometimes I jokingly blame my dad for having my short height because of lack of sleep and early mornings. But when I reached college, it made all sense to me. What we've been doing is not practicing, it's actually training. He trained us how to speak English confidently in front of the public, and it really helps a lot. Thanks to that habits, I can confidently engage in debates, deliver explanations in front of the crowd, or use English language naturally in many different settings. I am truly grateful to my parents for instilling that discipline in us. In Philippines, the medium of instruction in school is both Tagalog and English. But I've always felt that people value English language more. It is sometimes associated with global competence and sometimes social status. We sometimes call it the spoken in dollar. It's as if speaking English fluently will make you sound like a rich kid. Learning three languages like Cebuano, Tagalog, and English has been relatively easy for me, especially when it comes to grammar and reading. One reason is that all the three follow alphabetic systems, they're quite similar, making reading and writing less of a challenge. The grammatical structures, while not exactly the same, are close enough to allow me to shift between languages without much confusion. Another factor that helped me in that many words in Cebuano are borrowed from either Tagalog or English, so the vocabulary often overlaps. Because of this, I rarely experience conflict or confusion between the three languages. Instead of mixing them up, I found that they actually support each other in my learning process. Being multilingual feels natural to me, and the transition between three languages, depending on the context, is something I've grown comfortable with over time. I consider myself multilingual. I grew up in the Philippines, where my mother tongue is Cebuano, the language I first learned at home and in my community. I learned my second language, Tagalog, in school. English is my third language and the one I now use the most, especially since I'm currently living in the United States. Each languages I know connects me to the different part of who I am. Cebuano to my roots, Tagalog to my national identity, and English to the global world I'm now part of.